Welcome to the world's fastest half mile here in Bristol, Tennessee with the Sim Racing Unleashed Cup Series for 250 laps for the Executive Security Concepts 250. We want to give a special shout out to Budget Sim Boxes as they are the primary sponsor here at SRU, bringing very much great support here. As if you're a sim racer on a budget looking for a button box, then Budget Sim Boxes is your sources. You can find them on Facebook by searching Budget Sim Boxes or look for them in the iRacing flea market on Facebook. Thank you for Budget Sim Boxes for being the primary sponsor here at Sim Racing's Unleashed Cup Series. But we're back here tonight for the race with the next gen cars, 250 laps around the world's last great Coliseum. I'm Zach Hall up in the booth, joined alongside me, and I have two great colleagues. That's going to be David Medina and Sam Dyer, as we'll have Robert Moore Jr. as always up in the production box. Welcome, gentlemen, up to the booth. It's going to be a fantastic night of some Bristol action here. It's going to be really fun to see who can survive these 250 laps.
Oh, you hit the nail on the head already. It's surviving on this track here. Short track racing on a Sunday night. Couldn't be anything better than that. But yeah, we're going to see these guys going side by side, bumper to bumper on this track here, so close that you can almost touch each other. So yeah, after last week's race, you know, the points are shaking up a little bit. So we'll see if Mark Whitley can bounce back from that. But short track racing, looking forward to this.
Yeah, I'm excited to just be in the booth. I'm excited that you guys are allowing me to be up here. 250 laps at Bristol. I don't know what we're going to be seeing here tonight. I mean, short track racing, we saw a couple of weeks back at Martinsville. 15 cautions were thrown at that race. Here at Bristol last season, we only had 5. So the potential of not really seeing a lot of cautions and having a ton certainly are going to be on the table here tonight.
I think that's all up in the air for sure. Say we'll have to see what these guys can produce as now they just head off into qualifying. This is going to be an important race. We're heading off into the season here, race number 9 of the season. Right now, though, you're looking at the points leader as he puts down his qualifying laps. That's going to be Steven Stippian, a 23-point lead over Mark Whitley, who's been on somewhat of a bad luck streak. It's been a bad 2 week of finishes for him, getting caught up in a few incidents, pushing him back, and now he's gonna be looking to bounce back here tonight, and he is our previous winner here at Bristol. So you know, gonna be really interesting to see if he can pull off another Bristol win here tonight and put himself back higher up in the points here for this regular season.
Yeah, and you know who's been really having some fortunate weeks is Jason Adams, just slowly climbing and closing that gap up. So we'll see if he can put together another good run here. But we're going to also take a look and see if Mark Whitley, him and Mike Yarl both had a practice time of a 14:10. So we'll see if they'll be able to take that practice lap time and bring it over to their qualifying time.
Looking at the times right now on the board, Mark Whitley, talking about him very much this season. He's up front right now on top of the board, 14:13 for his fastest time around this half mile here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. And some very, like you said, very fast times being turned, David. And we saw some 14:09s in that practice session between Mark and the 9 of Michael Yara. So we'll see if Yara can jump down there. But looks like Mark not able to get that same lap time. I was kind of chatting it over here with the guys up in the booth before, saying, man, if we could see a 13-second lap time, it would be very impressive to see, especially in this daytime configuration. It's really fast right now, so I'm expecting some pretty wild racing at this point, too, with how close the times are, too.
Yeah, and what's going to be interesting to watch on these cars here is, the current gen cars, you see them usually run on the high line. There's been some redoing of this track. So with these current gen cars, will they be able to run side by side? And, turns 1 and turn 4, a little bit different shape. So it's going to be interesting to watch these guys, run this track and race each other side by side and see how they play out for over 250 laps.
I think you're very right about that, David. I mean, that's going to be the big question for me. This track, like you said, it's went through an update. We have normally seen the outside line really be the dominant way around this track, but we have seen an iRacing update come in. This inside line has been proven in what I've heard rumors around from the town. It's looking a little bit better. So, and especially maybe even with this next gen cars we're running here tonight, it could have a little bit more grip, maybe make that bottom work and be the shortest way around, being the fastest way. As you're seeing, all of the lap times being set down are around the bottom. So that is showing that it may be the fastest way around, but will it tear the tires up? So that's going to be the question. We've seen tire wear also with this next gen car with the 18-inch rim, these low profile tires so far. It has been a concern at these short tracks where drivers really can burn the tires up.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing to keep an eye on is going to be that number 37 of Justin Monarchy. You know, see, he had a great performance last week on his debut and was able to come out and just really put together a great run. So coming back the second week here, you know, see what he's able to do out there and put it together as we watch Steven Leffler going around here.
It was a definite great debut, but I tell you what, what's also to see is this man out on the racetrack right here. His return tonight, it's Steven Leffler in the 72 machine. What a great scene to see, man. I tell you what, it's been multiple weeks this guy's been out, and he's been fighting strong to get back out here and right here already making an effect. And I tell you, this is one of his better tracks. I've seen him win at this place before here at Sim Racing's Unleashed Cup Series, so I wouldn't put it past that 72 to be able to put himself in victory lane here tonight on return. It would be some story to take in for sure.
Yeah, and I echo your comments there. Great to see him back on the track, and with that type of qualifying time, it looks like he's just right on top of his game. So that's great to see. Great to see him back. And then some of the other notables, Chuck Winnie, you know, got a third place position so far in qualifying, so another good run for him. And then Dave Bush starting seventh, Larry Blair in eighth. So some notables there. I haven't seen Marco Yarrow take his qualifying time yet.
Yeah, it looks like Yarrow yet to take a time there, like you said, David, and he's not been out on the racing surface yet. And with the amount of time we have left here, about 12 seconds is not going to be enough time for him to be able to put a lap down. So looks like that is pretty much going to be the end of your qualifying session here tonight at the Bristol Motor Speedway. As that 5 minutes is up now, and our qualifying results have become final. As Mark Willie will sit atop the board here, trying to make the bounce back after 2 tough weeks in the Sim Racing Unleashed Cup Series. But we'll be looking to pull our grid up here in the next few moments to show you where your favorite drivers are starting tonight's Bristol 250 lap of battle, man. What a battle it is here at this track, as always, the world's last great Coliseum. And there it is, our qualified results. It's going to be Mark Willie starting up front. Second's going to go to Steven Leffler. Third is going to be Chuck Sweeting. Fourth going to go to Isaiah Sutherland. Fifth is going to be Steven Stippian. Our points there. Sixth is going to be Mark Koshik. Great qualifying spot for him. Seventh's going to go to Dave Bush. Eighth there, Larry Blair. Ninth's going to go to Justin Malarkey. A great debut for him last week, top three. And 10th's going to be Robbie Darnell, rounding out that top 10.
Starting off for 11th, we got Cedric Hunter, followed by Michael Yarrows at 12th position, followed by Dakota Bryant. Mike Chamberlain taking up the 14th spot. James Bryan following up in the 15th spot. Coming in on the 16th position is going to be Benjamin Butler, and 17th is James Colbertberger. And then in 18th position, we have Jason Adams, which I believe he won't be there very long.
Yeah, we know how he works his way through the field, but that is your starting grid here tonight for the Executive Security Concepts 250 at the Bristol Motor Speedway, race number 9 of season 11 here at the Sim Racing Unleashed Cup Series. You're looking at our front row as they get ready to pull away from the grid and start tonight's battle of the gladiators. They call this place a Coliseum for a reason, David. It is a place where plenty of battles go down, and we've seen some little bit of incidents here throughout the last week. Could we see any of those incidents come back to bounce back and bite a few guys?
Yeah, short track racing, one thing it definitely does is tests your skills as a driver, but also tests your patience and your temperament. If you're able to keep all that in check, it's going to be some contact. It's just inevitable whether you're going to have contact either with the wall or with another car. But you got to be able to keep your emotions in check, stay focused. So I think the guys that do the better job on that will be the ones we see at the front of the circle here.
Pulling away from the grid here, Mark Whitley going to be that pole setter. Looking like second place in points at the moment for Mark Whitley, our two-time defending series champion there. 23 points back from the points leader in the 81 of Steven Stippian, starting back in the 5th position at the moment tonight. But, man, 250 laps to get this action-packed race in. It's going to be fun here, as it looks like we will be going into the night lights here as it's late afternoon. Bristol Motor Speedway action. Man, couldn't ask for a better time here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is it's going to be a heck of a show. These cars on this track here. So, everybody get ready for some beating and banging and some close contact racing. But the Sunday night can't ask for a better show than these guys here on the Bristol track. And like you said, the transition into nighttime is going to be a beautiful view.
Well, get yourself ready out there in chat. Everybody viewing here tonight, it's Bristol Motor Speedway for the Sim Racing Unleashed Cup Series, race number 9. It's getting down through the important part of the season before we head off into the playoffs. These races are going to be crucial to set these drivers up for the rest of the season. But it's all about tonight. 250 laps around this half mile. We're getting ready to go. Green flag racing pace car is going to take the hard left-hand turn down the pit road. Mark Willie going to have control of the field. Barney's going to have the flag ahead. Green flag is in the air. Willie's off and away with a great start. Leffler going to slide in the second as we head off of two side-by-side for that third position.
Side by side, and the first three cars getting in line pretty quick as we see Stephen Leffler just continue to ride that outside line. So we're already seeing a couple of guys running a couple of different lines. So it's nice to see that. We see Mark Whitley running the bottom line, kind of new to this, and then Steve Leffler running the most common line that we normally see at this track on the higher side. So we see how this plays out and how does it affect the tire wear. These guys just putting on a show already.
Yeah, and early going, and kind of similar to what we saw last season. Mark Whitley got the pole position last season, carried his way, dominated, and already seen the driver low. That's going to be Butler, who's going to go into pit road. But that battle for second, it is all the signs. Is the inside line going to work, or is it all about the outside line early on?
It's looking all over the place at the moment. You got Mark Whitley on the bottom leading this race. Steve Leffler here venturing up to the top. Here comes Isaiah Sutherland in the one trying to make every bit of ground up on this second position. It's all over the place here at the Bristol Motor Speedway as they try to find the grip here early in the going.
Yeah, we were just seeing a prime example of that at the high line, giving up a little time to the inside line, but that outside line gets such a great run off as we saw Stephen Leffler just pull off there a few laps ago.
And right now, Leffler's got to be careful. He's getting extremely close to that outside wall. Don't want to brush it too many times, especially because there's no fast repair. Also want to get an update for that of Butler. Butler got loose at a turn number 2 on lap 1, nosed it into the inside wall. It could be the end of the day already for the 55.
They no on pit road for that 55. Benjamin Butler is being tough, but here it goes. Pass for second place. Isaiah Sutherland, you've seen it there, making the move to take the second position. And we've seen Stephen Leffler flirting with the outside wall. Got to be careful, like Sam was talking about there. You get a little bit of damage on these next-gen cars, and it really seems to affect the speed of those, as Mark Whitley here on lap number 9 really trying to pull the gap.
Yeah, and just kind of talking about the making contact with the wall. I mean, it's just, there's no place to go. That you make contact with that outside wall, it has the tendency to push you towards the inside. And if you're there, you'll collect, if you have another car on the inside of you, you'll collect him. If not, you can make our way all the way to the inside wall. So this track here is very confined as far as being able to go and save your car if you have contact.
We're starting to see some of the drivers even further back right now, moving up one position of 37, Justin Malarkey, and also 2 positions ahead of this 37 is where we find Chuck Sweeting, a driver that started up in the top 5. Biggest loser so far, has lost 3 positions, but it could be a strategy call, trying to save those tires as side-by-side battling further back. Yarrow's on the move.
Michael Yarrow, fastest man in the practice session in the 9 machine. He was able to get around the 44. Robbie Darnell next on his site would be Cedric Hunter in the number 11 machine. Also another top contender here. We'll see what these two can do. As it looks like, we brought up the tire saving thing. Chuck Sweeting dropping back from that 3rd to the 6th position. This track here known to be very high on tire wear. We could see drivers right now dropping back, maybe losing some time, coming to the front very quickly here near the end of this run.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it'd be interesting if we get the interview with Mike Yarrow after the race as to why he decided not to qualify after having being the fastest in practice up there with Mark Whitley. He's making his way up and doing a fine job. But just kind of wondering what his game plan was there. Especially on a track like that, you don't normally see that.
Yeah, I mean, for the start of the race, we had our whole entire 11th on back at the start of this race, deciding not to put down a qualifying time, and all 19 drivers did start at the grid. So right now, got to be concerned for those drivers that started further back. How well can they move forward, as we see now that of Dave Bush battling and staying currently in 5th place, but for how long?
Yeah, up 2 positions for Dave Bush, now up into that 5th position. He's got Chuck Sweet directly behind, but he's also got Stephen Leffler started 2nd there on his return tonight, now dropped back to that 4th position as our points leader Steven Stippian up from 5th to 3rd, moving his way forward quickly as right now Whitley opened up a 9/10 of a second gap up front, but the rest of the field really pushing hard here. We'll have to see if tire wear becomes a major factor here as this run continues on. 18 laps on, they quick away really quick here at this world's fastest half mile.
talk about tire wear. We saw Steve Leffler being the first one up there on the top side, and just kind of makes you wonder if maybe that's being the first one up there just utilizes a lot of his tires up there, while some of these guys are racing on the bottom. A lot more cars on the bottom than we're seeing on the top. So we'll have to see how that groove comes in toward the top later on in the race.
And right now, riding on board with that of Steven Leffler and getting his sights of that of Steven Stimpian really starting to move. The 81, currently one of the fastest cars on track, running in third, but right now pressuring that of Sutherland. But Zach, this high line, there are some advantages to it, but that outside wall, I mean, it's kind of getting nerve-wracking seeing Sutherland as well as Leffler getting so close at the apexes of these corners.
Yeah, and what it's looking like, too, just riding along with a few of these guys, looking at what they're kind of struggling with, looks like it's kind of chattering the nose on the entry here for these guys, which is going to make that front end push. When you push into the corner a little too hard, if you're already running against the wall and you overstep it, you're easily into it. So, yeah, got to be careful for guys like Sutherland there, and the one who's now got passed by Steven Stimpian, who's really starting to make a charge forward here. Is I think some guys are really starting to feel the effects of tire wear, because just looking around lap time-wise, some of these guys are really starting to drop pace.
Yeah, and I think that's the first set of tire runs. I think is pretty common for these guys. Just kind of get a feel for where their car is going to run dust at, and how their handling is going to be. And then some of these guys still kind of sorting out where they're going to want to run, middle lane, low lane, or the high lane. So just kind of bring up Scipion there, up 3 spots. You got Justin Monarchy in 6th position, for up 6 spots. And you have Cedric Hunter in 7th position, who's up 4 spots. So got some guys really moving along. And back in 12th, you got Jim Kohlensberger, who's up 5 spots.
Yeah, Kohlensberger is doing a great job moving forward. Our biggest mover is that 19 machine that you see on screen. Also want to give note, we talk about tire wear a lot here tonight. Drivers have 3 sets of tires in pit road to work with. So a lot of the drivers might be thinking around lap 80 to 85. Could be a rough estimate for these drivers just based off of tires on when they might want to come into pit road.
Yeah, fuel mileage, they could definitely do this in a one-stop, guys. It is possible, but the tires are going to be the big question. Can you make tires last 125 green laps? I don't know if that's going to be possible here tonight, just especially part of the fall off I'm starting to see. And this place is known to take the right front tire and really destroy it as the run goes on with this concrete surface, especially as it builds rubber up. So we'll have to watch and see, especially on this first run, how aggressive the tire wear is. But drivers are going to be looking possibly to 2-stop this race, in my opinion.
Yeah, and this track here, as a lot of people know, this is a rhythm track. So as your tire wears, your lifting point kind of changes as well. So just being able to get your rhythm from the start of the race to the middle of the race, and as time goes on, is really important. So you got to be able to adapt to this track as the tire wear goes down, as your tire wear on your cars, goes, and your fuel gets off, your car gets a little bit tighter. So we're going to see these guys just have to make a lot of adjustments in their driving styles while they're going around through here, and all that while trying to avoid each other and keep it off the wall.
Avoiding each other and avoiding lap traffic, as our leader, that of Mark Whitley, has already passed that of Jason Adams. Adams going to be starting to fall back, but lap traffic, the heat and real meat of where this field is, still another 5 seconds away, but we're going to be seeing Mark Whitley trickle through a lot of this lap traffic. And for this 24 driver, that of Adams, he's got to be careful with amount of leaders are side by side currently, but the 24 is trying to get by.
Yeah, everybody getting stacked up now, as you can see our leader Mark Whitley catching up to lap traffic here, and doing a good job. Some drivers really starting to make their ways through, and the 2 I've been watching have been turning on some really quick lap times. That is Cedric Hunter and Michael Yarrow. That 11 and that 9, they've been going forward up to 6th and 7th now, starting from that 11th and 12th position. So pretty much been following each other this whole race, 35 laps in, looking good right here. Lap time wise, some of the fastest cars on the racetrack.
Yeah, definitely. Again, just talking about Michael Yarrow, just to deciding not to qualify, but he's doing his thing on the track now that the race is underway, and picking up positions, him and Cedric Hunter. So good call out there. On that, we're at 36 laps into the race, and the field's kind of spread out now. But yeah, I think it was Sam that brought it up. These guys, the leaders, begin to catch some of these lap cars. We've seen this a couple of weeks ago where lap cars had an effect on the race, just getting a little loose, a little tight, and bounce off the wall. Hopefully we won't see that here tonight.
Yeah, and that meet that I was talking about is this group of drivers right here, side by side battling for 10th place. It's Blair and Bush, as well as side by side is that of Colemansberger and Darnell. Drivers got to be careful with one another, especially because they're just about, I would say, 5 seconds back from where our leader is. And battling this hard, when that Mark Whitley catches up to this group, it's all about patience at that point.
Yeah, we're going to see how patient Whitley is for sure. Like you said, about 5 seconds up to this group, but when this track, 5 seconds is nothing. He could be there in the matter of the next 10 to 15 laps here for sure in that 77 machine. So he's got to be patient, but these guys battling hard here, trying to keep position. Dave Bush, one of those drivers who drove to the top 5 early to go and start for that 7th spot. Seems like right now that tire wear is starting to kick in for him, as right now he's just holding on to 10th. With Larry Blair, Jim Colemansberger, Robbie Darnell, and James Bryant all on top of each other right here for that 10th spot.
Yeah, we saw those guys racing side by side, and it just allowed the next 3 cars behind them to kind of close up. So now we have a good race of 5 guys here just trying to get position, and they know they got that leader, Mark Whitley, coming behind them.
Yeah, I threw it out there just 4 laps ago. It could say about 5 seconds away. Well, it's now down to just 3 seconds. Is that a Mark Whitley as we see the 77 making another pass, putting that of James Bryant down a lap down. It's now that of Robbie Darnell, and you can see it as we're right on the hood of the 77. That pack of 5 cars that are on the lead lap currently battling for 10th. Well, they're about to be worrisome if they're going to be going a lap down here shortly.
Yeah, they're going to have to definitely be worried. So, right now they're worried all about the positions that they're in, but they're going to be looking up in the mirror saying, man, I need to get away from these guys, and hopefully something will happen where Whitley gets hold up and I put enough gap in between them so we can get a caution here to stop this bleeding they're causing right now, because the lap time is going away from them. Right now, though, Steven Stipping was able to catch up just a teeny bit there in that traffic and was able to close the gap down to about 1.1 there. At one point, it was 8 tenths. So when he get up to this next point of traffic, that's going to be a good point here for Steven Stipping to close it down.
Yeah, Zach, I was just going to say that, the one thing Mark Whitley is not going to want to see is this group of cars here that we're seeing outside his windshield. He's going to want to get by him as quickly as possible, not get held up, because the more he gets held up, the bigger that Steve Sipian is going to get in his rearview mirror, and he's going to have a big handful of having the race for the lead here as we see the car checking up real bad on that turn there.
Gosh, the closing rate from our leader to drivers that are battling for position is incredible. You can kind of see the way that they're trying to battle, defend, hold off their position, but this is the patience that I was talking about for Mark Whitley. When he sees these drivers that are battling for position side by side, you got to hope that they don't make contact or have issues. And while this is going on, there's also another battle going on for 3rd place. It is chaotic pack racing here at Bristol, and that's what we love about short track racing.
That we do say, oh man, major moment there for Larry Blair as he goes backwards as Whitley gets past him to put him a lap down. But yeah, that 3rd position also flared up there with Steven Leffler and Chuck Sweetie-Val. They got Cedric Hunter also in the mix of that, Isaiah Sutherland and Michael Yarrow all on top of each other 50 laps into this run. And Cedric Hunter really the one making his way through the field. Look at his good run off of that corner there off of 4. Going to be able to get to the inside now. Leffler here from the 3rd position. The 11 looking very quick here into these portions of the run.
Yeah, it's amazing watching him just kind of maneuver his car right in about the center of the corner and taking the nosedive towards the inside to get around him. So pretty impressive maneuvering him. We see Cedric. He's up 8 positions. So he's not a new person to this track. He's got a lot of experience and just putting it to work today.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing a fantastic job, that of Cedric Hunter, and he's now up to 3rd. About 3 seconds is the difference between himself and Steven Stimpian. And this group that we've been watching, they're going through lap traffic swell, trying to make these passes being done. But then they've got to worry about that pack that our leader, Mark Whitley, finally got all the way through. The patience was key. And Zach, what's crazy, we're now down. We started with 19 drivers. We're down with only 9 drivers left on the lead lap.
Yeah, and that just shows you how fast it'll happen. Right now, Mark Koschik, the last driver on that lead lap, he does have a considerable amount deal to that gap on Mark Whitley, but it's going to close down each and every lap if Whitley keeps continuing this pace. So right now, drivers in the top 10 not safe for not going a lap down here tonight. That shows you at Bristol, just a 14-second lap, 15-second lap around here, you can go a lap down in a hurry here. As right now, Leffler in the 4th position, he is going crazy right there around 4th and 5th.
Yeah, definitely having the battle up there, and just looking back into Mike Yarl there, sitting in the 7th position, up 5 spots, running a little bit slower lap time, around about 16:11 compared to Mark Whitley at 15:26. But this Geico car is here. I'll tell you, these guys have gotten in line and making their way around. You see Marco Yarl there, just trying to make things happen, but just biding his time the same way. We got a long race to go, so you don't want to push it too hard. But at the same standpoint, you don't want to get that leader, Mark Whitley, get too far away from you.
No, you really don't. And that's the big thing with all these pack racing that's going on here at Bristol. Anything could break in an instant. We could see our first yellow being struck. And if once you get a yellow flag, there's the chance of it just building on top of one another's and yellows, cautions breeding cautions. But for these drivers, it's all about getting the track position you can get, because that is the big key. And right now, the battling for 6th place certainly still hot and heavy as drivers into the wall there. Leffler, got to be careful for that 72.
Yeah, he's been fighting hard on the outside line, and I think the outside line is just coming up the bottom there. Southern going to try to make the move, but look at the run from the top that Leffler has. It's enough to hold him off. Yaro's been kind of caught up in this also in the 9 machine as they continue to battle down the back straightaway here. Man, what a crazy race this has been. We alluded to, we're 62 laps into this thing. Nobody is safe at this point. Any place on this racetrack, an incident can happen, and you could be up on top of that incident in the next few seconds having to react, and that could be your race over because no fast repairs here tonight. We've seen it so far the Last 2 weeks. Mark Whitley, our race leader, has just not had the luck on his side when it comes to that and has been knocked out of these races, leading multiple laps in them.
Yeah, one thing that we saw there, was I had a little bit of contact there. But one thing we saw earlier where the car just kind of made contact with the wall, when you're going into that corner like that and you're that close to somebody, it's just real easy to lose the air off that nose. And when you're already that close to the wall, there's no place to go but out that wall.
Yeah, and that wall is so dangerous to watch out for, but as well, other drivers, as we saw there, he kind of reacted to it, David. That of Cedric Hunter's got to be worried about that that left side quarter panel. Got a little bit of a nick between himself and the 19 of Jim's Coleman'sberger, so got to be careful with that damage, but the 11 still very strong, even with that little bit of a tap.
Yeah, he's looking like it's still going pretty well. Looking at the left front, somehow it seems to be pretty strong and resilient so far as he makes the pass there on Dave Bush. That lap car there in the 53 machine is now Cedric Hunter up to that 3rd position. When he was in clean track with Mark Whitley and Steven Stippian, he was with the quickest car on the track. But I tell you what, it's also gotten quick up front with Steven Stippian, who's been able to close the gap down now to Mark Whitley. He's within 2/10 of the leader, 68 laps into this run. Tire wear becoming a huge factor.
Yeah, and you look at these guys' lap time, and their lap times just mimic of each other. So these guys, no surprise, just doing a fantastic job. We've seen these guys always battling, and here it doesn't matter what track we run on. These guys are always doing a fantastic job, and this week they're doing the same thing. So Steve Stippian just moved his way back up to catch Mark Whitley. Got a long ways to go, but these guys are already battling out and just working their way around some more lap traffic.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be between Mark Whitley and Steven Stippian at some point. They're the top 2 in points coming into today's race. And right now, you look at the consistency of the stats for the 81 of Steven Stippian. 8 starts, 7 top 5s, 7 top 10s. The consistency is there, and he's finding that speed here tonight as he gets to the back bumper of Mark Whitley. Mark Whitley, our winningest driver of the season, trying to get his win number 4 here tonight if possible.
Yeah, and Stippian is trying to say, nope, I'm trying to tie you for that wins lead there and trying to get his 3rd win of the season so far as the 81. He's been our points leader. He's been so consistent throughout the whole entire season, but his 2 chrome cars ballot up front here at Bristol. And, the thing right now is Whitley's opened up the bottom. Oh, big moment there for the 81 there as he really lost the nose there on entry, but it gets tougher and tougher. He was able to close this gap down, get right to the back bumper, but the closer he gets, the more that dirty air and downforce he takes away from the front end of that 81. We'll see if Stippian can make something happen here in this dirty air.
Speaking of making something happen, I bet you anything Cedric Hunter is hoping that they can get this thing re-racked, because he has done a phenomenal job of working his way up to the front, and he would love nothing more than an opportunity to be up there with Steve Stippian and Mark Whitley and wipe out that 4-second gap that's on him. And I tell you, he might have something for them if he was able to get that 4 second down and get this place re-racked for him.
Oh, I would be terrified. If a caution comes out, you're going to be having a three-car battle for sure coming to the end of this race. But that's all if a caution comes out, or how much time can be gained under pit stops. Again, the rough estimate for tires is still coming up within the next 10 laps for these drivers. We'll see who wants to stretch it out on fuel, but they're also getting very mixy back here, trying to see who can hold on for track position as the battling for 10th, 11th. It is still hot and heavy, and still the pack that these drivers that are battling to stay in the top 5, they're trying to get by.
Man, this is great action to watch here, Sam. It's bumper to bumper traffic here at Bristol on the front straightaway. Everybody seemed to stack up here in this package. It's gonna be almost 3 wide. Jim Kolbesberger in the middle, the 37 of Blarkey on the outside, the 72 of Leffler on the bottom. Great runs all around from these guys as they're trying to run for their license. Whitley and the rest of the field contact with Blarkey. This may be the yellow. They keep it straight somehow with Leffler sliding into one.
Oh my, I thought for sure that was going to be our caution. As you talked about it, just bouncing off that, we were talking about that earlier. If you bounce off that outside wall, there's nowhere to go but inside. If you have somebody there, you're going to make contact. So great job of these guys by saving that. But I thought for sure we were going to have our first caution. Then we stay green, and these guys in lap 81 still running around. But we'll have to keep an eye on that group, because when it comes time to go into pit road, it's if all those cars could be able to make it on there cleanly.
And with that little bit of a stack up now, guys, got to watch out. Our leaders, that of Mark Whitley and Stimpy, and they're now on the tail end of this massive group. They've got to figure out how to get by this lap traffic and who can use the lap traffic as a pick to possibly make a pass.
This is the moment, Sam, right here. This is what Stimpy's been waiting for. He's close enough to attack. They're in the traffic that we just watched all get stacked up, like you said, and it's about to get really crazy here now as Whitley working the outside group around the 33. Koscheck going to put him a lap down, and that 33 there in the 9th position. Now he'll be looking to go to the inside of the 70, who's already 1 lap down, put him 2 lap downs. Big moment there for Whitley is Stimpy and all through the back bumper. It's all happening here now. This could be time for Cedric Hunter even to close in.
I tell you what, the intensity level right now, whether you're the leader or whether you're the car that's getting passed by the leader, you're the car that's getting passed by the leader. You don't want to be that guy that causes, an accident or holds up that leader or causes an issue for these guys that are racing. So you're trying to do everything you can, but sometimes over concentrating, you end up missing your line, and then you cause a caution. So far these guys have done a pretty good job of letting these guys race. But everyone on this track is trying to stay in front of that leader. They're racing somebody, but I tell you right now, the intensity level on that track it's absolutely crazy.
The intensity level is raised even higher because drivers are trying to make sure they communicate when I'm coming into pit road. First driver to do so going to be Justin Malarkey, but all the drivers are where they're at, especially for our leaders. They're in the meat of this field. They're currently in the middle of the pack, putting drivers down, and at the same time battling for the lead. The drivers starting to give a little bit of a hint. Hey, pit road soon to get very busy here shortly.
Yeah, this is going to get definitely very wild here in the next few moments to see who's going to elect to hit pit road, who's going to take the gamble, who's going to try to save the tires, make it to that 125 mark, make it halfway. Right now, looks like Dave Bush there having a moment. Maybe he coming off of pit road there. I don't know if he missed it or something, but definitely smoking the tires there for the 53 as he was trying to come down. But man, oh man, it's all transpired right now here on lap 89 as they look like they've made it through majority of that lap traffic now as Whitley and Stimpy still nose to tail.
Yeah, the other question is when do you want to come down pit road? If you're the first one that comes down, you're going to go a couple of laps down, and then if a caution comes up, there goes your whole game plan. So when do you want to come down? I suspect these guys are going to try and stretch it out, let all the other cars come down. But I tell you, this is a race within a race. You have these guys on the lead lap. You have, the number 11 and Cedric Hunter trying to catch those leaders and get involved with Steve Cynthia and Mark Whitley. I mean, just racing all over this track. That's what makes this track so enjoyable.
Yeah, and you had all the drivers that were on the same set of tires and catching up and being put a lap down. This is when you're going to be also seeing that factor of fresh tires versus old drivers, looking at what their pace was from our leader of Mark Whitley. Whitley's about a little bit over a second slower than his best lap time. That is going to be a massive closing rate for a lot of these drivers, for those that are getting fresh tires, such as Justin Malarkey and Dave Bush.
And that right there could be a cause for chaos, you know. We're going to have drivers out here possibly trying to stretch it to that 125 mark. We're going to have drivers pitting here in the next few laps and the past few laps. So we're going to have all different types of strategies, all different types of speed. Some drivers really, really slow. Some drivers really, really fast. And that's when you see incidents happen. But I tell you what, they're closing in on 7th here of Steven Leffler for putting him a lap down. This is an incredible pace our top 3 are really putting on.
Yeah, definitely just kind of watching these guys in the front with Mark Whitley and Steve Stippian. That last lap there, Steve Stippian had a much better run into the corner here. You see them closing in, but then Mark Whitley just gets a much better run on center off.
Yeah, and also watching these drivers, I mean, you're trying to make a pass, set up anything, but at the same time, you kind of have to just follow one another. Just for that of Steven Stippian, just let that of Mark Whitley make all these passes, and then once you have a little bit of clearance, maybe that's the moment you're going to be striking to go for a spot. But Zach, we've kind of already passed when drivers were planning on turning this race into a 2-stop race. Looks like a lot of these drivers trying to split this race in half and turn it into a 1-stop.
Yeah, this is where it's going to get really interesting to see if we do have any type of failures out there on any type of race cars. Right now, though, man, Dakota Bryant in the 58, he's having some issues right now, really grinding the wall down. He's right in front of our leaders. I believe, I don't know if he's on fresh tires or not, but he's definitely been flirting with the wall here, I would say.
Yeah, it looks like he's grinding the love right off the side of that car. Yeah, it's definitely, this track here is definitely a challenging track. It's so easy to kind of get hypnotized. Like I mentioned, it's a momentum track, but all it takes is just for you to, miss your mark just by a little bit, get some tire wear, and the next thing you know, like you're just pushing the wall down all the way around.
Yeah, this is the worst case scenario right now, though, because Dakota Bryant, he is on older tires. He's just been kind of wall riding, and the walls, yes, you can wall ride it for a lap or two, but if you hit it just right, you could launch yourself from that outside wall to the inside very quickly, and he's right around our front, too. This is danger for these drivers. There's a couple of drivers, Leffler as well as Blair, both heading pit road now.
Yeah, that was definitely an interesting moment. Looks like he goes right back to it, so... yeah, interesting tactics there for the 50. I don't know if that's the smartest move to do there, wall riding. Definitely, since that's not technically legal in iRacing, so I wouldn't be doing that too much. You never know, you might get in a little trouble. I've seen it before. So Steven Stippian, though, right now, still putting the pressure on Mark Whitley up front as they've made it by that little incident. Is Isaiah Sutherland. He's our top 5 driver right now. This is crazy to see. Mark Whitley was fast in practice. He's won a lap down. Now we're closing in to put Isaiah Sutherland in our top 5 down, and that'll be our top 4 within 9 seconds up to Chuck Sweeting.
Yeah, I tell you, I'm not sure what's going to take for Cedric Hunter just to be able to close that gap up, but still hovering around 3.7 seconds back of the leader, so not really making any gains anymore. So I'm sure he would love to see, I hate to say the word, but that yellow flag that comes out. But he's hoping for something. I don't think relying on Mark or Steve Stippian to make a mistake on pit road is a logical strategy or game plan. So Cedric's going to need a little bit of help to close this gap back up.
Yeah, I talked about fresh tires versus old. We're seeing it right now. That of Leffler coming in and really showing a lot of speed currently, trying to make some passes here. And you got to be careful not to be trying to make any type of mistakes. But when you've got a driver like that of Sutherland, who's on older tires, kind of forces the issue for the 72. Bold move for that of Leffler, who's trying to unlap himself the hard way.
Yeah, this is getting really, really crazy now. These new tires are going to start to come up into the picture. And look at this, Steven Stippian. All of a sudden, he's dropped back considerably. I don't know if he has a tire problem, guys. Just the way his pace has dropped off there. He looks like he might have lost the rear in there and trying to get it back going up. But Whitley with a major gap now as the new tires, you could just see differences with those tires, how much faster these guys are on them.
Yeah, Steve Stippian a few laps ago had that rear end kind of kick out on him on the exit and had to chase it towards the inside and lost the momentum there. So we'll see if he can, regather his thoughts there and close that back up. But that's going to give an opportunity there for Cedric to close the gap up onto Steve Stippian.
Yeah, I went back, rewatched it. Looked like that of Steven Stippian got loose after the bold moves that Leffler was making in front of him. Kind of spooked the 81, got loose on a turn 4 about 3 laps ago. Continued to stay loose on the straightaway, held on, stayed straight, but now at risk of, with those, a little bit of a slide, could wear down those tires even more and could give an opportunity for Hunter to get into the mix here. But this now puts all the pressure on this pit stop on how clean and making sure you have no mistakes coming into pit road.
Yeah, this pit stop is going to be so critical, Sam. It's a tough pit road to get onto. You know, it's such a small pit road also that it's tough and easy to make a mistake, even knowing which pit road. Well, actually, these guys aren't going to have that issue here tonight with the amount of cars, 19, so everybody pitting on the front straightaway. But still, you know, hitting the right pit road is always a tough thing because you can get a little bit disoriented around here. As we're watching Cedric Hunter try to get by the lapper of Dakota Bryant, who's still out there riding the wall. Now he's about to flip. So, man, I don't know if that's... Yeah, that's not
right. I've tried many different strategies on this track. I've never tried this strategy on this track before. I've heard about it. That's the first time I've seen it lap after lap.
Yeah, it's not safe. This is very not safe to see Dakota Bryant driving like this. He is going to cause a wreck and an accident here if he is not careful. And right now, there's going to be a lot of drivers on top of him. And I'm concerned for the field, but for a lot of these drivers, he could be the reason that we get a yellow here with how hard we're seeing Dakota Bryant try to tear down those outside walls.
Yeah, that it's something you don't want to see. You know, it's going to affect somebody's race, and hopefully he can get into the pit road, get some new tires on the thing, and stay out the wall, because it's just not a smart thing to do. You're just asking for something major to happen and ruin someone's day out there doing some nonsense. So we'll see what's going to happen here as he hits pit road. But right now our leader is still trying to make it to that halfway point. There is a wrecked car on the front straightaway. Actually, it's Jim Kolmsberger in the 19, but I think he gets it towed, and we're going to stay green.
Another avoidance of our first caution, so good to see that. And we see, Mark Whitley still running up front. He's got a 1.65 second lead over Steve Sipian and a 2.56 seconds over Cedric Hunter. So, still a pretty good lead. Just got to keep hitting those marks. But I tell you, Michael Yarl, up 6 spots. So, he's got a long way to go to get back in this field here. But I tell you, I mean, the constant and the consistency that Mark Whitley has been putting down on this track here has been pretty impressive to watch.
Yeah, it's been incredible to watch for sure. Just seeing that speed from the 77. Very similar lap times are being put down is from the 11 to Cedric Hunter, but I think for all of us, I think we're recognizing it as that qualifying. If he had qualified better, maybe the 11 could have been battling for a win here tonight. I do want to give note that contact that you saw of that of Kolmsberger. Also, the 19 ran in and clipped the 73 of Larry Blair. Both drivers got into the wall, wrecked, and I believe both of them going to be calling it a night here after incidents is being caused and no yellows being thrown.
Yeah, it was a close one there for a yellow. I thought that was definitely going to bring it out there with that car there, but looks like not going to happen now as you're seeing Steven Leffler still drive his way through. Looks like Cedric Hunter going to be the first of the top 3 to take a chance here on pit road on lap 124, so he's going to come a lap earlier than that halfway point. I'd imagine seeing Whitley and Stippy hit pit road here very shortly.
Yeah, pit road action is definitely picking up. So Cedric Hunter coming down pit road, getting his right side tires, and next we'll see the left side go up. I tell you, he's had a really good car, all day long, all night long. Just needs a break to get this thing reset. So if he can do that, and I think Sam said earlier, we could have a very good 3-car battle for this race win.
Oh, absolutely. And for that of Cedric Hunter, being and making an undercut, being one of the first drivers to come to pit road, this was a must for the 11 if he wanted a chance to get back into the mix of this race. Again, note, drivers for our leader, Mark Whitley, still running only about a second off of his best lap time at that last time that he put down a lap. And it's been pretty similar for the past 20 laps. So there is a plateau marker once you get into these tires worn down. But the 11, you can already tell he's loving the fresh rubber and taking off, trying to get himself at least one more lap taken away, as currently the 11 is 2 laps down in 7th position.
Well, with the way all this is playing out, too, guys, this is going to set up everything pretty weird, in my opinion. You had some guys pit some pretty early stops there compared to our leaders like Mark Whitley and Steven Stippian, who now is hitting pit road in that 81 per second. I'd imagine Whitley will be down any moment here in the next few laps as he continues to go. But we can see them possibly even go a lap down to some of the guys who pitted early enough, to put enough gap on them with the newer tires. So it could be an interesting little moment here. If we get a caution through this cycle here, even some of our leaders who stay out to this point could be in trouble.
Yeah, I tell you, a few laps ago, we just saw that Cedric Hunter coming up on the 52 of James Bryant. It got a little bit loose there coming off the exit. So just one of the things, a reminder, it's a quick reminder, when you get new tires, definitely got to be cautious, trying to maneuver your car around some of these other cars. It gets real easy to lose traction and lose grip.
Yeah, it's really easy to lose that grip as that of Mark Whitley still trying to get by and trying to make sure he doesn't get into any trouble with some of the drivers on fresher tires. But with that of Cedric Hunter pitting sooner, 5 laps sooner than seeing that of Steven Stympian, 11 has made the pass over the 81. More drivers into pit road. It's going to be the one of that of Sutherland and many others coming into pit road, waiting to see when Mark Whitley will come in, as well as that of Robbie Darnell, and as well that of Mike Chamberlain. Those are the final drivers, as well as the 24 of Jason Adams that still need to come to pit road.
Yeah, and looking at the way the tires plateau, guys, this waiting from Whitley could, I mean, it's going to give him a good shot with the newer tires to drive up to him. But when he gets to him, he better hope that plateau has to happen, because right now he's running 1534s, and that's kind of what they've been running the whole entire race once they've got there. So, if he waits too long, he'll get to that point where he plateaus once he catches them also, and it's going to be a tough position to get even anything done with the fresher tires. As you can see, Stympian's got, 4 to 5 lap fresher tires than Cedric Hunter here, but still has yet to get around him yet. It's not going to be easy. So right now, Whitley putting himself in an interesting box right now for this race.
Yeah, I've always said it. I feel like I'm a broken record when it comes to these guys' pit strategy and what they're thinking, because we always see these guys do something really different. And I always say that's why I'm up here in the booth and not in the car, because something that Mark Whitley's it's worked out for him strategy wise several times before. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But yeah, it's a little concerning for him to be out as long as he has, as we see continue to see Cedric Hunter and Steve Stympian and we see Steve Stympian get into the wall.
It's Dave Bush into Stympian, and that brings out our first yellow of the night. And for that of Cedric Hunter, Leffler, they're the only drivers that are currently 1 lap down. The 11 will get the lucky dog spot.
Whoa, guys, that just changed everything in this position. And Cedric Hunter's going to be in a good spot with that lucky dog. We're going to go back to the freaky fast replay and see exactly what happened there. It looks like teammates coming together here as they were looking to get by Dave Bush in the 53. Right here comes Steven Stympian off of the turn, and I think Steven thought he may have been almost clear, was trying to get up to the lane up top. Dave Bush still there. Those two making contact. That's going to bring the yellow out, but not only that, it's going to keep Steven Stympian 2 laps down here possibly also, so going to be in a very tough position. Whitley looking like a genius at this point.
I tell you what, that might have been what he was trying to play out to see if he gets a caution and shut some guys a lap down. But I'll tell you, that's going to be an interesting channel to be listening to between those two teammates, because it kind of looked like Dave was a little bit coming down off the wall a little bit at the same time Steve Stympian was coming up. So just a unfortunate contact between teammates.
I mean, it's one of those things you never want to see. But Zach, this is when things can get interesting, because there's some drivers that are going to try to go for a wave around to at least get one of their laps away. Cedric Hunter for sure is getting the lucky dog. Leffler's taking the wave around to get back on the lead lap to leave us with only 3 drivers on the lead lap currently once we go green. But for Cedric Hunter, with all the drivers that are taking a wave around and him having the lucky dog, does that mean he's going to be still all the way at the end, or will he be the first of those that are cycling through?
It's going to be interesting to see where he lines up exactly. I think it's going to score him at the tail end of the longest line, most likely, because that's what it does with the lucky dog usually. But he could possibly get placed in front of some of these guys who are taking the wave. So we'll have to wait and see there. But the big thing for Cedric Hunter also is he's on older tires. He had to take this lucky dog, has stayed out this time by, and he's not going to be able to put tires on that that number 11 machine unless he comes down this time by here to have the same, advantage as Mark Whitley, who's, man, he's, we were questioning how long he was staying out there. As it actually does look like Cedric Hunter is going to come down this time and burn another set. It's going to only give him one more set for the end of this race, but I think that's his best case scenario right now. If he would have left those older sets of tires on, he actually would have possibly been in threat of going a lap down starting that far back.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, we were talking about Mark Whitley as far as how long he was going to stay out, and boy, this caution just fell right into his lap. So going to be a lot of guys still trapped down two left down. Unfortunately, run for Steve Stympian. with about 100, a little over 100 laps to go. Just challenging. We were talking about earlier, just some of the challenges that Mark Whitley has had over the last couple of weeks, and we come in here now, we see Steve Sipian, starting to have some challenges. So we'll have to see how he's able to bounce back.
And the risk of a caution coming out, guys, is cautions usually breed more cautions. Drivers going to be on top of one another. They're not going to be as split up. They're also going to be some on fresh tires, some on extremely old tires. The 37 of Justin Malarkey is going to be on over 50 lap older tires than most of the field. And he's going to be up in 5th position. But a lot of the drivers that are taking the wave around currently are going to be single filed. They're not going to be stacked side by side. So we'll see where drivers lie for themselves, but it is going to be a very testy restart here for a lot of these drivers.
Oh man, this is a very interesting lineup right now with Whitley out front and a bunch of lap cars around. The pace car is going to drop in this time here on lap 145. We're going back green flag racing here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Mark Whitley out front. Him and Cedric Hunter are the only two on the lead lap. Cedric Hunter right now located about 6 cars back. Here they are wrecking in front of Dakota Bryant and Jason Adams. It's another wreck here.
I'll tell you, Cedric Hunter just missed that getting wrapped up and involved in that accident there. So Steve Sipian, same thing, was able to avoid all those things. So good move on there. But there's what Sam was talking about. Cautions breed cautions, and sure enough, that's exactly what we had here.
Yeah, I mean, you got drivers that just aren't, we're going to see it on the replay, but we're going to see that of Dakota Bryant, the 24 of Jason Adams. They're going to be on top of one another, and Adams is going to get a great launch out of the corner, but Dakota gets loose, wiggles, comes up, and nowhere to go for the 58 or the 24 and the 44 of Darnell as well. Just nowhere to go for these drivers that were on the outside.
Yeah, that was a major stack up there, and Jason Adams getting the worst end of that deal there to bring out the second caution of the night. Man, that's got to be a relief for a lot of these guys. Steven Leffler, he's going to get the lucky dog. That's going to put him back on the lead lap. The only other thing that the other drivers are all now kind of, not going to be the happiest about is that they are still going to be stuck laps down and not be able to get the wave here on this this restart here, because Mark Whitley is going to stay out. So Steven Stippy right now in 6th position behind our leader, Mark Whitley. He is probably most likely going to hit pit road here. As you see him coming down 2 laps down in this 81. He's still in the 6th position, so he can recover tonight and still possibly, recover those points, even it not being a win in the bank for him. But if he can get a lap back, get in that top 5, maybe it could work out for him. But right now, the driver that's got to be licking his chops the most, David, we talked about him a lot tonight, working his way up through the field, that's Cedric Hunter.
Yeah, Cedric Hunter, he's being our biggest mover. He's up 9 positions, and, he's been able to show keeping pace as far as lap times with Mark Whitley and Steve Sipian. And, now he's got the caution that he needed to be able to get him re-racked and restack and, show what his car has here. And, try and put it to Mark Whitley and see, give him a run for his money. And I'll tell you what, I'm pretty impressed with just the run that Cedric Hunter has had so far. And I think these two guys are going to be putting on a heck of a show, running side by side, trying to take the lead.
Oh, they're going to put up, for sure, a heck of a show. We'll see how well they want to react out of Mark Whitley and Cedric Hunter. But now, for Cedric Hunter, he started about round 6 because all the drivers that took waiver rounds, he didn't have to go all the way to the end of the line. For Steven Leffler, though, did take at least fuel, a little bit of damage repair for the 72, but it'll be all the way at the end. So Leffler's got a lot of work and also has to make sure he does not get caught up in trouble. As up front, Zach, Mark Whitley and Cedric Hunter, this should be an interesting restart between themselves.
Yeah, I think this is the one we've been waiting for all night here. Cedric Hunter here last week making contact with Mark Whitley at Nashville, the super speedway there, and it took Whitley out of position for that race. He was dominating up to that point. Cedric Hunter worked his way through the field up to that point to try to take the lead, makes a little mistake, gets up into the door of the 77, sending him up into the wall, ending his night, and really hurting him for the points. So, Whitley, he's got a big chip on his shoulder here coming in tonight. He's definitely been involved in a few fair share incidents in the past few weeks on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, and he's going to be looking to come out on the right end of those incidents here possibly tonight.
Yeah, and when we already talked about this caution breed caution deal, so it's going to be curious to see. We got a race with inside a race. You have these guys racing for the lead. You have guys racing to be the first car lap down. So race within a race. Everyone's going to be trying to get it as we get ready to go green.
As we do, it looks like the pace car is going to get ready. They bring us back to green flag racing. Mark Whitley out front. Cedric Hunter, in the second position now. Our top 2 on the lead lap. Steven Leffler going to start near the rear of the field in the 3rd position, but we're back green flag racing as Whitley, Cedric Hunter side by side for the lead. This is the battle we've been waiting for. It's side by side for this lead. These 2 made contact last week. What will come here tonight? Looks like Cedric Hunter in the 11 looking to take the lead.
Definitely putting it out there. He came so close to making contact to the outside wall as we see him and Mark Whitley, and we see Cedric Hunter making contact with the outside wall.
Contact between the 77 Mark Whitley and a Cedric Hunter. Just a little bit of a tap, but it sent the 11 into the outside wall. The biggest threat for the 77 Mark Whitley. Now damaged, falling back over a second back. And oh boy, Zach, all the competition for Mark Whitley seems like here tonight caught up with issues as we're past halfway and less than 100 laps to go.
Yeah, and we've seen that damage on these cars not be the fondest of these next-gen race cars. We'll see if Cedric Hunter can rebound from that hit, but yeah, that right there was definitely a little light bit of contact between the 2 that sent him up into the wall, and you know, very reminiscent of possibly what we've seen the week before.
Yeah, and I can tell you that if Cedric Hunter is able to get back up to Mark Whitley, we might see some more contact going on, you know. But just hard racing, those guys going side by side, and just some contact there. But you know, as hard as that Hunter's running, he's trying to get himself back up there, and if he does, wouldn't be surprised to see the old good bump and run going on.
Oh, absolutely, but it's going to take about a second is the difference between that of Mark Whitley and Cedric Hunter. And throughout the field, first car lap down, banking on a caution to come out and hoping it's not him. Chuck Sweeting in 4th place, kind of just in a wait mode for this 75 team. And this has got to be kind of demoralizing for Chuck Sweeting, knowing he really can't do anything. He is stuck a lap down and needs that caution.
Yeah, right now that is a tough position to be in here at Bristol, especially with under 100 laps. We saw how fast the first set of this race clicked by. It can click by so quickly here if these drivers are not in the right position or the right mindset, and that 1 lap down, you know, it can stay that way, or you can get a lucky caution that helps you push forward. I mean, it's just a tough position to be in. His Leffler, he's already done a good job of working himself 3 seconds behind the leader there from that 3rd position after starting to tell along this line. But yeah, him and Justin Larkin are now both 1 lap down. They're looking for anything to get back onto that lead lap to secure their positions.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, if you would have been, to hold these drivers, hey, you're going to be 4th and 5th position,
Yellow,
but you're going to be a lap down as we have a caution.
It looks to be the 52 of James Bryant.
Spun around here in 3, it looks like. Man, James Bryant here coming to stop to bring out our next caution. We'll go back on the freaky fast replay and see exactly how I put out. And I think actually we're going to see contact between him and our leader. No one is safe. We're going to go back here and look at this as we come off of turn 2 here. It's going to be the 52 of James Bryant. Here comes Mark Whitley, the 77. The 52 bounces off the wall, and there is our leader, Mark Whitley. He's going to collect some damage on the right front now and bring out our next caution, man. This is just showing nobody's safe. Look at Cedric Hunter barely making it by, and Chuck Sweeting going to get the lucky dog.
Well, I tell you, somebody's licking their chops right now, and that's probably Cedric Hunter, because now we're going to go ahead and be able to re-rack these guys and stack them back up, and yeah, now they're both going to have damage on the front end of their cars. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting restart, and hopefully we don't, this isn't the start of cautions breeding cautions and stuff like that. But I tell you, intensity levels are growing. We're getting closer and closer to the end of the race. Everyone's pushing to get that that lap, and when you see that leader coming, you don't want to go that next lap down. So you're pushing yourself, and it looks like he just got made contact with the wall and bounced towards the inside.
Yeah, that bounce, getting damage on the 77. Mark Whitley and Cedric Hunter both came in, got a lot of repairs for themselves. So Mark Whitley, who has been the lead car for almost every single one of these restarts, now going to be back to 3rd. Hunter is going to be up to 4th currently as Chuck Sweeting gets the lucky dog position. But Zach, looking back to last season, season 10, the first, next gen for a race for these drivers at Bristol, this was kind of how this race went last season. A lot of our front runners got a lot of damage, but it was that of Mark Whitley who led the most laps, was the fastest driver, but also didn't have as much damage to worry about. The question is, though, with that contact, is it enough damage to hold him back and give any other drivers a chance to win here tonight?
Yeah, looking at the car right now, Sam, it looks like they did a pretty good job working on that thing. Got the right front fender out there pretty well, and I don't expect it to be too much of a hindrance for him. It didn't like Cedric Hunter was his damage on the left and the right front were doing too much bad for him as he went back down to get some more repair done for that 11 machine. But yeah, it's a tough spot. We're going to see if it affects Whitley here for sure. But the one thing that's going to affect him the most is he's got a fresh set of tires on. That's really going to help his case. I believe also Chuck Sweden may come out here with a fresh set. But I believe Steven Leffler and Chuck and Cedric Hunter both electing not to use their last set of tires here. So they're saving a set here for just in case another caution comes out here in the last 100 laps.
Yeah, race within a race, strategy within inside of a strategy. So these guys are just like having to adjust their pit stop strategies as the race goes on. But I tell you, we're gonna have these top four cars that are on the lead lap, and now we're gonna have Justin Malarkey and Isaiah Sutherland. It's gonna be trying to set themselves up to be the first car lap down. So again, a lap within a lap, you got Steve Stipien sitting there as well, who's going to want to try and get himself in that position. So it's going to be an interesting restart here to see as these guys are going to start docking around and try to take those positions.
Back with the or the lights out on the pace car. We're getting ready to go back. Green flag race. It's going to be Steven Leffler. Mark Whitley up front. Pace car is in. Leffler on the old tires. Whitley on the new ones. It's green flag race. So we're back out and away. Is 167 laps down. We're on the 168 down the one. Leffler going to hold on to the lead here. Close the door. Possibly Whitley. No, he doesn't. Here comes Whitley to the outside trying to work his way by. Those new tires looking strong.
Definitely looking strong.
Oh, sorry there, David. 15 laps is the difference on the tires. That's why it was so easy for that of Leffler to make that pass.
There he goes by Mark. Oh, we have another caution. This is what we were talking about, cautions breeding cautions. It's happening all here tonight. Isaiah Sutherland in the one. He is down here wrecked out of turn number 2, and it's a big collision for him in the outside wall here, guys. Looks like maybe a little contact here as we go back on the instant replay here. Freaky Fast Broadcasting. I think you may see a little bit of beating and banging here between the 81 and the one as we're coming down the front straightaway. 81 here making a look to the inside. The one going to close the door, and just a little bit of contact there from the 81 to the one, and then a little bit more, and from there, and the one tries to save it, but just overcorrects, and major contact there at that wall, man. A huge hit.
Definitely a big hit. Again, it's one of those things about this track is that don't matter if you go right or you go left. There's a wall there, and he definitely found the wall. Took a hard impact on the outside wall and rode down inside the inside wall. So now we'll take a look. You got Justin Menarche out there. Steve Stipien, I believe maybe it wasn't. My timeline looked like he was going to be the first car lap down, but looks like Justin Menarche is going to be that first car lap down.
Yeah, Malarkey was not involved in that incident at all, and he was the only other driver that was one lap down, so able to get the lucky dog position. So now we're going to have a total of 5 drivers on the lead lap on this next restart. But the next goal, if we continue to have these cautions of the drivers that are up front, what time would it be the best to take that final set of tires for these drivers? That's going to be the big question for a lot of these teams. When do you want to use that one final set for these drivers?
Yeah, I think that is definitely the thing that's on a lot of these guys' minds. Mark Whitley still with one set, same for the 72 and the 11 of Cedric Hunter. But Whitley on the freshest set of the third set of tires used, so he is looking very well right now if this thing was to go green to the end. But I tell you what, the way we've seen it so far, 4th caution of the night, we've seen 5 last time we were here at Bristol. I would not be surprised if we see that 5th caution to mirror somewhat of last season's race here.
Yeah, I don't think we're done seeing cautions. Again, we're getting closer and closer to the end, and this just static level is just going to continue to rise. So, unfortunately, I think we'll see some more cautions out of these guys. But before then, hopefully, we see some more green flag race between these guys. I mean, just Mark Whitley, Steve Leffler, Cedric Hunter, Chuck Sweeney, Justin Menarche, and then Steve Stipien trying to get in the battle as well. So, some really fast guys in the front.
Oh, absolutely. I think, if anything, we do have to give praise for this whole entire, series here tonight. What a first 130 laps to go that long. Yes, there were a lot of incidences, but to go 130 plus laps without a yellow and keep it that green for so long, hey, it's okay. You know, there's going to be a lot of cautions that come out late in the race because the anticipation and, everything is getting ramped up. But these drivers excited on how tonight's race is going to finish.
It's going to be an exciting one for sure. Same here. Pace car lights are off. We're going to get ready to go back green flag racing here. 250 laps still here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. We're 174 in. It's been a wild run up to this point. A very long green run to start the race. And ever since then, it's been chaotic as drivers have been fighting and clawing to hit their way back on the lead lap. We got 5 on the lead lap this time. Malarkey was the one able to get back up there. Pace car is going to go back in with Mark Whitley, our pole setter and dominator of this race, going back green flag racing as he charges down the one. Looks like Leffler and Hunter in the 11 going to battle out of 2.
Yeah, Hunter there in the second place and battling for second place as we see him getting clear there and then trying to make way up to the back of Mark Whitley. And several laps ago we saw what happened there with those two made contact. So that's one bad part about racing on a short track. You don't have enough time to go around to kind of make that stuff. Forget about it and let it settle in. So we'll see how Cedric does if he's able to catch back up to Mark Whitley.
Yeah, and for Cedric Hunter, he's got that heavy right side damage from after making contact with the wall as well as contact with Mark Whitley. Whitley, though, even with that front end damage that he got from making a little bit of bumps here and there with that of James Bryan, still, that's 77 looking extremely quick, running about a 10th faster than Cedric Hunter. The question is Hunter trying to save his tires, or will he be able to get any aggression out of this 11 as Leffler holds on?
Big moment for the 72 there. Is a great job by him to hold on to that. And again, great to see him back out here on the racing track and just showing he has not lost it, even though he's been out a few weeks. He's still got the skills to be able to wheel this thing around the world's fastest half miles. He's up to 3rd now. You got Chuck Sweeten also breaking his way up into the picture there in the 4th position. Malarkey, though, had to start that tail on the longest line. He's going to be about 7 seconds back in 5th. But, man, Steven Stimpion's going to be the first one lap down. He's going to be looking to get his way back on. Everybody trying to get their way back to the lead lap to fight with this 77.
Yeah, Steve Stipion would be all right with the caution coming out now. Getting back on the lead lap. But just going back to, to talk about Steven Leffler returning, I tell you, if you really haven't been paying attention and watching week after week, you wouldn't even know that he's actually been gone because the performance he's putting together tonight on his first night back is just superb. So great to have him back, and boy, I tell you, he's making his presence known.
Yeah, and Leffler has been very strong at Bristol in previous seasons. Back when they were running the Gen 6 cars here 2 seasons ago, back for Season 9 and Season 8, it was that of Steven Leffler that actually was leading the most laps for both of those races. Then once they moved to the next gen last season for Season 10, didn't see Leffler lead any laps, but was a very strong 72 car, showing that strength here tonight, running 3rd.
Yeah, Bristol always seems to be his strong suit when we come here. And right now, showing the next gen car is definitely suiting to him also. But the driver who's right behind him on the deck lid is Chuck Sweeten. He's got some fresher tires, and he's charging up through here as we're going to drop on board of him and see the runs he's getting here trying to make the passes on the 72 of Leffler.
Yeah, Cedric, Steven Leffler, and Chuck Sweeten, their lap times are just almost identical of each other. But, Mark Whitley still those tires that he's got definitely making a difference. He's still a 10 faster than the next 3 cars behind him. So, those we'll see if those tires fade off at Indy and equalize out, and with these three cars behind, we'll be able to make up with 188 laps. Still got a lot of ways to go, but tire management from Mark Whitley could be the difference for him.
Yeah, and Mark Whitley's doing a great job pulling away, still running about a 10th faster than the drivers behind him. Chuck Sweeten certainly has been putting on a lot of speed. I think that's just because of the factor of slightly fresher tires than the drivers ahead of him. And also, Zach, we're seeing he's trying to work that outside line and trying to get straightened out sooner with an earlier apex, which he's getting great runs, but he's not getting the entries to try to make these passes.
Yeah, it almost seems like the time he gives up on entry is what he gains on exit. So he's almost drawing dead even here as we are just gone under 60 to go here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. It's been a fantastic race so far here tonight, guys. It's been so action-packed. We haven't even got to get a commercial break in, but we want to go ahead and hit a quick commercial break final one here, the only one of the night. We're going to go side by side, and we'll be back here as everything transpires here at the Bristol Motor Speedway.
To be the best, you can't settle for the rest. There's a reason that Makoni Setup Shop is trusted by more virtual and real-world tracks and companies than any other setup shop in iRacing. With partners such as Stafford Motor Speedway, the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, Five Flags Speedway, Speed 51, and more. When you want something done right, you go to the experts at Makoni Setup Shop.
With setups available for most series on both asphalt and dirt, built by a team of professional builders consisting of some of the top talents on the service, Makoni Setup Shop LLC has what you need to hit the track with confidence. Head over to MakoniSetupShop.com and learn why Makoni Setup Shop is the official setup shop of Richmond Raceway Esports and is partnered with some of the largest names in virtual and real racing.
And remember, at Makoni Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Welcome back to the Executive Security Concepts 250 at the Bristol Motor Speedway. I'm Zach Hall, joined alongside me. I have Sam Dyer and David Medina as we're closing in to the final 50 laps of this race here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. David, it's been very, very wild up to this point, but right now Whitley looking to stroll away with them newer tires.
Yeah, these guys are definitely not disappointed. I mean, it's been short track racing, and we've seen, all kinds of contact, either with somebody riding the wall, or bouncing off the wall, or bouncing off each other. But these guys have just been putting a heck of a show on these cars here. And like you said, Mark Whitley just, constantly putting down some, faster laps, and Cedric out there can Chuck Sweeney and stuff. So those tires are definitely helping out. And we'll see if we get another caution. Using that word very cautiously. But if we do, then we get these guys racked up. Maybe they get their last set of tires on, and then we'll see who's got it for the end.
Yeah, and a lot of these drivers, we're seeing only 5 drivers on the lead lap. At one moment, we only had 2 drivers on the lead lap as we had an extreme long green flag run from lap 100. From the start of the race all the way up till around lap 135. Then we had our first yellow. Since then, we've had 4 cautions. The drivers have been trying to clean up, and right now I think the big help is the fact that we have so many drivers on different sets of tires, and the wear on their tires is so different that they were able to split up from one another, and that's what's allowing Mark Whitley to be up front trying to pull away. But the last caution that came out was from that of Mark Whitley making contact with a lap driver. We'll see if that happens again.
Yeah, and with the bad luck we've seen with the 77 the past 2 weeks, he's still got to be thinking about that in the back of his mind. I know he is. No race driver forgets your previous week until you can get in that victory lane, and that kind of gives you a mental reset. So Whitley looking for that 4th win. He's been so dominant tonight, him battling with his title rival Steven Stippian, who he got the strategy right. He played the strategy right so far tonight. Waited until that caution came out the pit, and it really, really helped his night, as Steven Stippian is still 1 lap down back in 6th, has never recovered from that point.
Yeah, I think we just saw here, you're just talking about, that plays in your mind when you have, a couple of bad weeks of racing. We just saw here Mark Whitley when he was trying to make the pass. He came up in the car. You can tell that he just kind of checked up a little bit off the exit. He's a little bit worried about those cars coming down on him. But he's got the gap to be able to go and play a little cautiously. So I think he's racing really smart. But now he's got a little bit of room in front of him to go ahead and hit his marks, run his line, and try to put his gap as big as gap as you can on Cedric Hunter.
Yeah, and that driver that just went a lap down, 37, Justin Malarkey, going to be going a lap down, leaving us with just 4 for a quick second. Now we're down to 3 as that of Steven Leffler into pit road, an unexpected stop for the 72 team. I'm still checking to see exactly what happened to himself, but we're left with just 3 drivers on the lead lap now.
Yeah, that is an untimely pit stop for me too, Sam. I would think he had plenty of fuel. Maybe he just felt like the tire was necessary to do, but he's just going to go multiple laps down here. Don't know if the time here is going to have enough to really get any of that back. I mean, looks like he'll drop back only to the 6th spot, so it's not the worst position ever, but still, it's going to be tough for him even to break back into the top 5 now.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be challenging as late as we are in the race. 221 laps. You had a 15-second pit stop, so just kind of interesting to see, what happened there. But Chuck Sweeting still running up, 3rd position there, and running his lap time about 15:32, but compared to Mark Whitley, it was 15:33. So it seems like maybe some of the tires have been kind of evening out for him.
Yeah, and right now we'll see how well, like we said, how fast is Leffler going to be able to try to unlap himself and try to become either the first car lap down or fully unlap himself, as currently the 72 team going to be 2 laps down, getting by that of Cedric Hunter with ease, as that is over, I believe, 70 lap tires difference for themselves. But looking at the drivers that have been making some really big moves, biggest mover of the day goes to the 11 of Cedric Hunter, up 9 positions, started in 11th, was the first of the drivers that did not qualify. And then some other big movers, that of Justin Malarkey in 4th, up 5 positions, didn't have the best qualifying time for himself. But some of the other drivers back in 11th, we talked about the fact that he would be moving up, and we knew he would. The 24 of Jason Adams, even though he's heavily damaged, doesn't have a hood, running 11th currently, up 7 positions from where he started.
You got to commend the man there. No front hood, no rear end on the back of this car. He's still out here making laps, 8 laps down at the moment. But I tell you what, if something happens to someone else, he could break possibly into the top 10. So why not? Right now, Jason Adams showing again why he always charges through the field with a never give up mentality. And right now, it's working for him as he's up to 11th from that 18th start spot.
Yeah, I can't really talk enough with Jason Adams. You just watch him week in and week out, and it doesn't matter where he starts. If he starts in the back, whatever, he's always finds a way of being patient and working his way, up and gaining a few spots. And we're seeing it again here, at our Bristol track. And so I called it at the beginning of the race. He started towards the back, but I didn't expect to see him, stay there. And sure enough, he's doing that, gaining 7 spots. So he's definitely had a challenging race. As we're looking at his car, it's just. I wouldn't even call it a modified, because he's got the no hood, no spoiler, no bumper, but he still has a wheel and a pedal, and he's putting it to work.
Yeah, if anything, I know I haven't been in the booth that often this season, but I was for a lot of last season. And I gotta say, most improved driver might have to go to this 24 of Jason Adams, currently that of 3rd in points and trying to stay consistent, but also battling side by side with that of Larry Blair, as well is we've got second place Cedric Hunter, and Hunter's got to be careful not to be caught up into anyone else's problems because Chuck Sweeting's still in striking distance.
Yeah, Chuck Sweeting is not giving up either for that top 2 position. So Cedric Hunter, like you said, cannot set his focus on these guys too hard. He needs to get by them pretty quickly here and do it contact free and not get any more damage to that number 11 Hello Kitty, who's kind of been beating and banging here tonight. But he's been able to work his way up. 18 to go for him. He's up to second from that 11th position, like you said, our biggest mover. But Jason Adams here fighting strong with all that damage.
Yeah, and Chuck Sweeting and then Justin Monarchy, he's running 4th position. This is the second race, and he's he had a phenomenal race last week. He's putting together another phenomenal race this week. So, I think future-wise, he's going to be definitely a guy to watch. It's going to be that Justin Monarchy in that number 37 car. Just really impressed by what he's been able to do when he's come into this league.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you kind of have to keep your nose down, and that's kind of what this last Coliseum gives you. 16 laps to go. Chuck Sweeting currently running in 3rd, and you look at every week that comes around, Chuck Sweeting's name always seems to pop up in the top 5, and here he is running 3rd once again. Might not have shown the fastest car on track to go for a win, but certainly has been a top 5 car all night long.
Yeah, he's been, Chuck Sweeting's always one you never know. He might have had the most crazy races, but he's just so consistent. I've raced this guy before. His racecraft is top tier. I think sometimes maybe a little too passive on the passive end, but I tell you what, that's what gets him to these consistent finishes a lot of times also. So I expect him some point to break into victory lane this season. Right now, having a good solid top 3 again. He's had multiple of those of this season already since he's joined. I really like seeing him run up there. But right now, as we look back up front, Mark Whitley, 12 to go. He's looking to make it to the end here, guys. But still, we've seen crazier things happen. You never know what can play out here at the end.
Yeah, when you think that, normally when you have a 5-second lead over somebody, you think, okay, 11 laps to go, 5-second lead, I can just ride this out. Not here. Not on this track. You're a short track racing on Bristol where anything can happen, and we've seen it already happen, tonight. And so he's got to be able to see, constantly focus on hitting his mark, but also paying attention to the guys that he's racing around and trying to bring it home when we got 10 laps to go.
Yeah, Mark Whitley comes into tonight. He has got a lot of pulls here at Bristol in past races. He has won here the last time we were in the next gen last season, winning. And I've been looking at how fast Mark Whitley has been in counting today and the past 3 races that these drivers have been at Bristol. Mark Whitley has always been the fastest driver, putting down the fastest lap for the past 3 races. The speed for the 77, incredible here at Bristol, and the consistency as well here, even with being caught up in earlier incidences. But like you said, Zach, it's still not over, and you never know what could strike.
Yeah, he still definitely don't know. I got some lappers up ahead of him, the 58 of Dakota Bryant, who's had his wild night there in the free hugs machine. So definitely, I think Whitley, though, at this point, he's kind of backed it up. It seemed like his pace has dropped down a little bit. I think he's kind of taking it easy once he's got to this 58 here with 6 to go, and that's the mentality he's got to have. But, alluding to that fastest lap thing, I mean, I got to give it to him, credit to him. This next-gen car, he's been able to make that fastest lap speed, but also have the long-run speed, which is something I think in the Gen 6 car he kind of struggled with here at Bristol. He always had the pace up front the first 20, 30 laps, but it just fell away from him in past seasons. But now with this next-gen car, it's really played into his hands as he's going to keep that speed throughout the whole entire run here tonight.
Yeah, and how do you avoid getting in trouble? Well, you just kind of back it up and try not to pass. The car in front of you with that large lead that he has. So good job of him. We've been talking about different strategies all race long, and this is another one. Just stay behind here. You got a good lead. Don't put your car in a situation where something can happen for the next 3 laps. So good job of Mark Whitley to do that. And Center Hunter just going to come up a little bit short today, but had a fantastic run.
Yeah, and sometimes it's even better to just, hope that the lap car's just going to get out of the way as most contact being made. One of the most dangerous drivers all night long. Finally, Mark Whitley makes the pass, and that's got to be a breath of relief coming through 3 and 4.
Yeah, definitely got to be a breath of relief here as he comes out of 4 here. You're going to see the freaky fast white flag. 1 to go here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. If you want to be on our white flag, hit us up on our social medias. But he's going to have one final corner. It's been a dominant performance. Win number 4 here. Race number 9. Mark Whitley race winner here tonight at Bristol.
Well, how do you try to erase or forget about some of the misfortune you have? You come out here to Bristol and just run a dominating race and then bring home a win. So fantastic recovery by Mark. You know, it's going to be able to close that points back up just a little bit over Steve Sipian with the run that Steve Sipian had. But I'm sure that this guy, as we see him burn out, is going to be very happy, especially after the last couple of weeks that he's had, to be able to put this together and put it together on a short track.
Absolutely. Short track, short temper. Sometimes drivers get a little bit of revenge back. I think for Mark Whitley, probably didn't mean to completely, give a tap to Cedric Hunter, damage the 11, but got a little bit of payback with that, and then getting the win. Overall, this is a great feeling for Mark Whitley after a disappointing race last week.
Yeah, I think it was perfect. Completely unintentional contact between him and Cedric Hunter. They're almost kind of similar thing, at Nashville. It's just racing for the lead with the win, and sometimes in these deals, contact is made, and one driver's going to get the wrong end of the stick. And Whitley was on the right end this week. It's been bad luck all around for him. As man, what a celebration he put on here for us tonight. We're going to go to our post-race interviews here, and we'll be back in a few moments. Everybody, thank you all for tuning in. All right, we are back here for our post-race interviews at the Executive Security Concepts 250 at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Our third place man here tonight is Chuck Sweet. Another podium finish for him in the 75. Let's hear for his night. It was somewhat of a quiet one. Let's hear how it all worked for him, though, in this wild race. Hey, Chuck, it's Zach up in the booth. You got a copy, man.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great, man. I tell you what, a wild race, man. Tell of two races there. Really starting out with that long green flag run. Some guys pulling strategies to hit pit road a little bit earlier than hitting halfway, and that caution coming out there. I think Whitley staying out so long really affected really how this race happened, man. I mean, take us through your race because you're able to bring yourself back to third after getting caught laps down.
Yeah, I waited about 10 laps past halfway to pit, and I should have waited another 10, but yeah, that kind of screwed me. I was behind on tires the rest of the race, but I don't know. He was so fast anyway. I don't know if it made any difference. Him and Cedric both were really fast, but yeah, I had to work for it, get a lucky dog, and take a wave around, but come back to third. So not a bad night for Bristol.
Yeah, man, a very impressive run, none the least to say. Able to work your way back up from those laps down, get a few of them back. And now we head off to Charlotte next week, but we're back in the Gen 6 car. So back that switch after we've been in the next gen car for the past 3 weeks. Now back to the Gen 6. How you felt about the mile and a half there at the Charlotte Motor Speedway?
I feel good about the track. I'm glad to hear. I didn't know which car we were going to be in, so I'm glad to hear that this car. I just can't drive this car. It's so underpowered and has so much rear grip, and the setups are just so tight. I know they got a lot of work to do, and NASCAR hadn't even figured it out yet, much less iRacing. So it'll come along. But right now, it's not much fun to drive for me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Charlotte's always a fun track anyway, no matter what car.
Yeah, definitely should put on a good show, my friend. I tell you what, it was a good run here, nonetheless, tonight for you, man, to get up to third here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Before we let you get out here, though, Chuck, and get ready for Charlotte next week, anybody wants to shout out to you, buddy?
Just thanks to the league and the admins and all the sponsors, you guys at Freaky Fast, everything everybody does to put this together. So I appreciate it. It's fun being a part of it.
Well, Chuck, you have a great night, man, and we'll catch you next week in Charlotte.
All right, see you there. Thanks.
All right, everybody. That was our third place driver of Chuck Sweeting here tonight. What a run it was for him. But now we're going to move on to second place. It's the Hello Kitty machine. It's the number 11 of Cedric Hunter. Let's hear from him tonight after a bounce back from Nashville, having some contact up front. Hey, Cedric, it's Zach up in the booth. You got a copy, man?
Of course I do. How's it going?
Well, I'm glad you got a copy, man. Wild race for you, man. Starting back there in the 11th position in the number 11 machine. Gonna come one spot short of that race win, but it seems like everything got really shooken up by those cautions and the timing of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So I didn't like practice or qualify or anything like that. I was just coming in here to race. I mean, I just got available to race kind of the rest of the season, so I'm kind of just coming in here and just racing for fun, racing for experience. Moved my way through the field a lot easier than I thought I was going to. I think just being able to run the bottom and kind of multi-groove at this track has really helped a lot, and I'm glad that we finally went back to being able to do that. And then just the race, obviously, for the lead and stuff like that. I didn't realize at first. I thought it was just Mark and I racing each other really hard, but and iRacing is gonna hate me or hate me for saying this, but that was like 2 feet of netcode and just killed my car. And unfortunately, just the handling went away really, really quickly after that. So I think I could have had a shot for it, but just unfortunate set of circumstances. But I mean, I'll take second. It's better than finishing on a tow truck. So.
Yeah, better than finishing on a tow truck for sure, man. Second was the way it worked out tonight here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. You know, you alluded a little bit to the multi grooves and the damage. You know, we've seen with this next gen car the damage on the front end be a major thing that affects these cars. So how much did it change the car, and also did you have to change the lineup with that? Because we noticed some guys making speed in that middle lane, but some guys also right around the bottom making speed, it seemed like.
Yeah, and I think that that was kind of the advantage that I had in the first part of the run or the race was just being able to kind of change it up and being able to run low and run in the middle and up high and just kind of being able to set people up. And and then with the damage, the handling went away completely. Like throughout the race, the car was a little bit tight to begin with, but at least on exits, I was kind of pushed loose a little bit, so I was tight, and then it was just forcing me to have the rear end kind of just wiggle around, and it made for it to be able to turn. And after I got the front end damage, it just went away completely. The thing didn't want to turn anymore, which I mean makes sense. It's Bristol and it's just high speed, and so aero matters way more here than it does at any other short track. Um, so I mean, it sucks that it happened, but it's to be expected, I guess.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely a wild race here at Bristol, man, but nonetheless able to bring home second place here tonight in the 11 machine. Before we let you get out here and go celebrate this thing, anybody you want to send a shout to, buddy?
Absolutely, I want to shout you guys out. You guys always do a freaking wonderful job. Super excited to go back and watch this race. I want to give a shout out to all the admins and the drivers and stuff like that that just, welcomed me back with open arms for the rest of the season. So always fun to race with them. And shout out to all the fans out there tuning in on a nightly basis for Freaky Fast and just supporting all the leagues of drivers. It's pretty awesome. I know that there's a lot of regulars, and you guys are awesome. You guys are more committed probably than I am. Just tuning in on a nightly basis just takes a lot of time and effort, and you guys are the best. So thank you to everyone, and yeah, have a good night, I guess.
All righty, buddy. Well, you have a fantastic night. Congrats on second, and we will catch you next week in Charlotte, man.
Definitely, man. Thank you.
All right, everybody. That was your second place driver here tonight, Cedric Hunter. Very excited to get himself back up into the podium position. But now it's on to our race winner, Mark Whitley. What a drive it was. Another dominating performance and one that didn't end up in bad luck. Even though he was struck by a little bit of contact, we saw him survive it all. Let's hear it from the 77 of Mark Whitley. 4-time winner here this season. Hey, Mark, it's Zach up in the booth. You got a copy, man.
Got you loud and clear.
Well, I tell you what, buddy, 4th win of the season, able to dominate Bristol thoroughly here tonight, man. What an impressive run. I mean, take us through the strategy. You know, that's the one big thing I want to talk to you about is we've seen your competitors come down there. Look like Cedric Hunter was go down at 125 or 124, and then Steven Stippian around 130. You know, you're able to, take it even longer and catch that caution. And, really, that was the changing point of this race. I mean, take us through that strategy call there.
Yeah, well, at the beginning of the race, we kind of got away a little bit, and it was just me and Stympian pretty much. He was a little bit behind me, and then just getting through lap traffic, he was pretty much right on my tail the whole run, and then it seemed like parts of the run he was better, parts of it I was better. So he just kept going and going, and I think we had enough gas to probably go to 180, 190-ish. These got 20-gallon fuel tanks, so we could have went a long way, but my initial thought was just to split the race in half, but then once I saw me and Stimp had pulled away, I know in the past, anytime I've been able to get a gap there, I've just kind of tried to stretch it as long as I could. That way, whenever I might have lost time, on the spit cycle, but I would have the fresher tire. So that was my whole goal. Was I was just going to stay out, and I was probably going to stay out till about 180, 175, 180, somewhere. I was just going to keep staying out until the car felt like it, lost the balance. But honestly, toward the very end of that run, it started getting a little. I think the fuel burning off helped the center of weight or something, and it helped rotate it through the center. So I was just kind of riding around, and I wasn't going to stay out too much longer. Then the caution came out, and I think I had trapped pretty much everybody a lap down and 2 laps down all the way up to 3rd or 4th. So I was just sitting there in the catbird seat, and I'm like, well, just go ahead and get tires and see who we got to race. And after that, it was just kind of like getting good restarts. I know we had a couple quick cautions, but that's kind of to be expected here at Bristol. I was kind of hoping we go green a little bit quicker than we did, but then had a little medium run there, probably 15, 20 laps, came and got another set of tires, and figured, it's going to be, wanted to get the fresh tires, and got around Leffler pretty easy. He had a little bit older tires, and I don't. When me and Cedric were battling there, I don't know if there was a contact or what happened with us, but he got shot up into the outside wall, kind of reminiscent of what happened to us last week when I feel like I went through the grandstands on the last week, but I don't know what happened with it, but our car was pretty good. And then my main focus when I was out there in the front, I was just trying to hopefully get around the lap cars really clean. That was my one goal. Just every time I got to a lap car, try to take my time, make sure I didn't put them in a bad spot, and just try to get around them cleanly. And then I don't remember, I think it was one of the Bryans. One of them came up to it, and I don't know if he got tied off and he hit the wall and he got into me, and I just slammed the brakes. I had PTSD from the last 2 weeks. He came off the wall and hit me and went across my nose, but only had a little damage, so it wasn't too bad. But for that split second, I had PTSD from the last 2 weeks. I was like, no, not again, not 3 weeks in a row. But luckily, the damage wasn't too bad, and got it all fixed on her. Had a big enough lead and had enough cars trapped a lap down that I was able to get all the damage fixed and didn't lose any spots, thankfully. And that last run, I think Cedric, he had a little bit of damage there, and I just kind of walked away from him, and then I was catching up to a lap car there about 15, 20 to go, and I had about 5-second lead, and I'm sitting there thinking, there's no need for me to pressure this guy. I have such a big lead out the back. So I didn't want to put either one of us in a bad spot and chance us getting in a wreck. So I just kind of sat there and rode, and then I'm not sure if Cedric just turned up the wick or if I was just going too slow. I know he started gaining pretty good there, about 10 to go, and I was like, all right, I got to get around you. I ain't going to chance it. So I got around him the last couple laps, and it was just clean sailing after that, pretty much.
Yeah, man. I tell you what, it was definitely a clean sailing race for you, man. Other than that little bit of contact between you and the lap car there, but like you said, the PTSD able to make it through here to this weekend and really able to get that victory. But heading off to Charlotte next week in the Gen 6, we're making the switch back after 3 races in a row in the next gen. How you feeling about Charlotte, man?
I've always liked Charlotte. It's kind of like a hometown track for me, one of the tracks in North Carolina. So I feel like I always got to put on a good show in there. Should be interesting with the Gen 6. It should probably be a little bit pack racing-y, but I think we'll probably get strung out as long as we get a green flag run.
then tires are probably going to come into effect. But it's going to be an interesting race for sure. And I know one thing for sure, though. It's a lot better talking to y'all after a race than sitting on my couch listening to it. I've had that the last couple weeks. It was a little bit better here.
Oh man, it's good to see the bad luck turn around for you. Get the win here tonight, win number 4 of the season here, and also a special win here at Bristol. Every driver wants to win here for sure, man. So before we let you get out of here and go celebrate this thing, man, anybody wants to shout out to, Mark?
Yeah, give a huge shout out to Harpoon Designs. This beautiful chrome car didn't get its due last week. Had to come back out here with it and make sure I put it in victory lane because thing looks amazing. Wanted to showcase it a little bit more and hopefully get a little awareness for old Brantley. If anybody wants a paint scheme, hit him up. He's got a harpoondesign.com, or if you're just looking for one he's already done, he's got a bunch on trading paints. And also give a shout out to my wonderful family. Always a great support system, no matter win, lose, draw, get put to the grandstand. They're always cheering me on. And then thankfully, got to thank y'all for putting on this great broadcast. It's always fun to go back and watch. Y'all are second to none when it comes to broadcast quality, and I wish all my leagues ran here. It'd be a lot better show, I feel like. But and also just another one to the league. Everybody was great racing. I know we had a long green flag run to start here at Bristol, and that speaks volumes to the quality of drivers we have from top to bottom. It's everybody was, got strung out. Everybody was respectable. Nobody was pulling dumb moves 10 laps into the race, and it's great group of guys, so we need to try to get some more guys out here. But you know what? It was pretty good with the 20 we had.
That it was, man. Congrats again, Mark. Thank you for the kind words, buddy, and we will catch you next week in Charlotte, man.
All right, see you later, Zach.
All right, everybody. That was your race winner here tonight, Mark Whitley here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. What a race win it was for him. We're looking to pull up them race results to see where the rest of the field ends up after 250 laps at the last great Coliseum. Here it is. Race results are up. Mark Whitley able to bring home that victory, race win number 4 of the season. Cedric Hunter there able to bring home that second position, making the return here this season. Third is going to go to Chuck Sweeting. Fourth place going to go to Justin Malarkey. Fifth going to be Steven Leffler. Sixth going to go to Steven Stippian, our points leader. Seventh going to be Mark Kostic. Eighth going to go to Michael Yarrow. Ninth, Mike Chamberlain. And rounding out your freaky fast top 10, that's Robbie Darnell in the 10th position. As we look to the field, a lot of definite crazy finishes for a few guys. Jason Adams, as always, making his way up from 18th to 11th there. Isaiah Sutherland ran up in the top 5 for majority race. He's going to fall back to 12th there. And also some drivers like Jim Kolmsberger caught out very early in this race, 137 laps down, back in the 8th position. Dave Bush not having the greatest race tonight, back in 16th with the engine expiring. It was a tough night here at the Bristol Motor Speedway for a few guys for sure. That is our race results there. Sorry about that, David. My bad on that, man. But any final thoughts here from you, David, before we head off to Charlotte next week? And any final thoughts also from you there, Sam? Because man, what a wild night it was here at the Bristol Motor Speedway.
Yeah, I was going to say, definitely a wild night. We've seen just about everything in this track is what you expect, at this Coliseum type track, and we've seen Cedric being our biggest mover, and then we've seen some guys just, had the unfortunate race. Dave Bush, who lost 9th position, had a blown engine and had contact with his teammates, so I'm sure that's going to be an interesting conversation with them. But just kind of looking at the updated points, Steve Stippian still holding on to first place, but Mark Whitley, I tell you what a phenomenal job he's done to put the last couple of races behind him, refocus, to come out here and put a dominating performance in and get the win, his 4th win of the season, and close that gap back up to Steve Stippian. And then you got Jason Adams running in 3rd, and Dakota Bryant in 4th, and Chuck Sweeney, who's moved up now in front of Dave, topping off in the top 5 positions there in points.
Yeah, I mean, incredible run from that of Whitley here tonight. I think looking at the points, David, it's going to be really interesting on that bubble spot on who can make it into the playoffs. It's going to be interesting to see how the drivers react with the amount of races that are trickling away. I mean, they're running out of time on getting enough points for themselves.
That they are, Sam and David. It's been a fantastic night up in the booth here at Sim Racing Unleashed for the Executive Security Concepts 250. But what a night to close it out here on Sunday nights as always. Thank you all for tuning in here to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. It's been a pleasure to call all the action. We're going to send it up to Robert Moyer Jr. before we head off to Charlotte next week to prepare here for Sim Racing Unleashed.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining in here tonight. Hopefully everybody out there enjoyed some short track racing here at Bristol. Man, it was some fun racing, watching them go there. over 100 laps caution free, and then we had a little carnage here and there, and some short track beating and banging. But it was great watching, and congratulations on Mark Whitley finally, bouncing back and getting his win here after having a bad 3 weeks of just something happening, and get that monkey off your back and try to win the championship, get yourself and catch back up to Steven Stempien that had a little bit of problems here tonight after having a pretty strong running last week. But with that being said, our next televised broadcast will be tomorrow night at 8:40, ladies and gentlemen, if you're still watching this, or you go back and watch this replay. Normally we go live at 8:50, but we will be going live at 8:40 tomorrow with NISCC Truck Series, as we got a special segment coming along here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. So make sure you tune in tomorrow night at 8:40 to see what we have new coming for you, fellow people and ladies and gentlemen out there that watch us on YouTube. But until tomorrow night, have a great rest of your Sunday night. Be safe Monday, and we will catch you Monday night. But until then, we want to say here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, God bless everybody. We love yous all. Peace out.